So during these 20 minutes, I would like to share with you an overview of the next 3 years agenda of a CCO. So what is a Chief Customer Officer? As a starting point, I would like to quickly remind us what is this role. To wrap it up with my own words, this is, to make it really simple, the 360-degree control tower of what's happening and what should happen between a company and its customers. Well, in this presentation, I'm not saying that companies should have a CCO, some companies appointed CCOs, without giving them the inflection power they should have done to get tangible business outcomes. I'm only using the CCO as archetype of the customers at XCOM. So now, what are the key topics on the XCOM diary for the next 3 years to reach unmatchable, unrivaled customer experience and sustainably raise customer engagement? So first, little challenge. Managing touchpoints has become quite complex. The number of so-called channels has literally exploded, and customer-facing industries now have to manage 4 times more interfaces than a few years ago. Owned interfaces have increased, but also managed third-party interfaces. And of course, this driven by digital. Well, in a context where GAFAM BATX set standards and raise the bar years after years, what is directly or indirectly exposed to customers must be really much more industrialized than in the past. Some players on the market already did the appropriate investments in product information management solutions or digital assets management platform to reduce operational costs and avoid quality problems across the different set of interfaces. Same situation regarding the analytics and the data management. L'Oreal is particularly a very good example of a substantial effort that has been done with significant industrializations investments that now are really enabling much more efficient interfaces management and orchestration. And just, for example, take a look at their e-commerce performance. And of course, this is very linked and a big part of the omnichannel story. Well, immediate history has shown that having one foot in the omnichannel world was a major tactical advantage to face current crisis. Some players have recently proven agility in building smart bridges between channels and were really completely able to make it really seamless. Whereas before it was really siloed. I particularly like the case of Brightlink that has recently created an in-store appointment journey starting on digital. What is particularly relevant here is the smart context provided in advance to the boutique teams to prepare the appointments. I could point many other companies in similar or other industries that are still unable to offer this basic journey. So, on the agenda, I'm convinced that this is an absolute urgency to move from concept to reality in terms of omnichannel journey design. On top of that, innovation is flourishing everywhere. Look at Gucci, for example. Gucci augmented reality with Snap or Lego with a virtual fashion store. Only a few of those innovations will grow at scale, become mainstream, and become major business drivers. But as important as services are in the way of working, I mean constant testing, constant test and learn mindset to make mistake is fundamental to continue to learn and stop, of course, what doesn't work. My conviction is here that too many executives focus on the what and do not spend enough time on the how. That is to say, new ways of working, new ways of collaborating with customers, agile execution, etc. On several pages of my presentation, you will see this kind of yin-yang icon to underline this key success factor. I will be happy, of course, to detail that in the Q&A session with examples and outcome. Let's take a look in the rearview mirror at the interactions that brands have with their customers. In some industries, such as utilities, telecom, insurance, or transportation, having an interaction with suppliers was synonym of problem, service interruption, cancelled service, etc. One of the most revealing quotes I heard from a customer was, "The best situation is when I have no reason to interact with you." In addition to that, scorched earth practices also killed interaction channels with customers and led to customer burnout over time. Best proof of that is their diminishing conversion rate and the pushback effect some long-winded brands are still generating. Customer attention with a timeline has really become critical. Last situation is the no choice situation that some brands put into practice. That's why many banks, for example, had empty branches. I mean, of course, before COVID-19, and oversized physical coverage. Selling new offers and services has become quite challenging as they lost the conversation with their customers. In the next 3 years, establishing a brand conversational strategy that creates value for both parties is a key topic. Starting point, being able to answer to these basic questions. What is perceived value of my solicitation? Well, to come up with this kind of situations, 2/3 of companies, of listed companies, have now a customer experience manager, sometimes at XCOM level. So the customer experience transformation is really a journey. I would say a two strat plan duration journey. I'll wrap up this customer experience transformation in some key questions. For example, first step, how to implant customer centricity in a long existing company centricity. That's a big challenge, a big cultural challenge. And then how to adopt a listening and responding mindset, how to develop capabilities, internal capabilities, to see what customers see and not what we think they are seeing. And there is a big gap. Another key point is how to describe what the customers fairly experience when contacting the brand. Not only the company-centered part of the journey, but also the interfaces with third parties. By the way, very few in Europe are going so far while considering customers. They are still focused on their own activities. Another key point is how to orchestrate agile action plans with the appropriate governance, very horizontal, to secure executions. Today, many players are at this stage, but there are some next stages, especially how to measure operational changes with data and outcomes and correlate with actions. When you already have a person-centric customer data model, it simplifies the data-driven monitoring. Best players, for example, can correlate pain points resolution with purchase recurrence and churn rate. And for the last two steps, how to sustainably transform operations to maintain a virtuous cycle. That is to say, design from day one offers, services, processes that are customer native. The challenge is here, in fact, also to be able to decentralize customer experience management at all levels, at point of sale level, at call center level, even at production unit level. So in the coming years, for most of the companies that launch customer experience initiatives, CEOs will expect much more quantitative business outcomes than in the recent years. Looking now into more detail into the data opportunity. Most of the industries invested a lot in gathering data, a huge quantity of data, and deployed some first use cases. Two priorities remain for the coming 2 years along the data analytics funnel: data quality over data quantity. Data quality is not a technical problem. Eyes are really focused on data scientists, but should also look at the data steward, whose responsibility is the data quality combined with a good data governance. Good quality means, and it has been really measured in many advanced companies, 25% more algorithm accuracy, 1/3 execution time reduction, and employee satisfaction. So don't forget the data steward to retain your data scientists. And the second imperative is, of course, the shift to a continuous flow of use cases. Not one use case every 2 or 3 or 4 months, but really a continuous flow of opportunities to create value. And it goes through the development of multidisciplinary teams working in agile mode, upskilled on data, valuation, and leveraging shared data experts such as data scientists, data stewards, etc. And teams with a very strong return on investment mindset, somehow used to work in a kind of SWOT mode. So acceleration and automation is part of, and it is a continuity of the next 2 to 3 years story. Many topics are on the table: RPAs, marketing automation, both. So I would like here to spend a few minutes on both and underline some key learnings. Selecting, for example, the appropriate solution provider is not easy, especially when a high number of them just decreed overnight to have AI insight solutions. So on the market, we could, and customer could measure that most advanced experiences showed great progress in terms of intense complexity coverage. But customers are still expecting more efficiency in the dialogue, less parrot effect, for example, and a better context understanding and emotion management. Innovation goes fast, but never as fast as in dreams. Developing its learning culture, its learning curve for customer-facing industries is a must. For many historical companies as well as newcomers, it is becoming a major customer interface. The telecom industry, for example, is at the forefront. Most of the telcos are expecting that bots will be able to manage 80% of their conversations by 2023. If I take the case of Orange, last year, they manage 15 million end-to-end conversation by bots, 5 times more than 1 year earlier. And here again, working in agile mode is a prerequisite to maximize internal learning curve and also customer-facing improvement speed. From what I've experienced recently, leveraging bots to empower employees is also a major working area for the near future. Bots can help them dealing with more complex cases, and voice analysis can now be used to help employees adopt appropriate tone of voice. Some startups, such as Auto.ai, for example, are doing that well. And if we look at the channel share evolution by interaction complexity, we can see that complexity management has become and will become a hot topic for many human-centric channels. Let's have a very quick look into the past. Over the last decade, channels progressively, digital channels progressively absorbed almost all simple interactions. In the next 5 years, only complex interaction will remain in human-centric channels. Complex problem solving and posture management are key for in terms of capabilities, expectations. Some companies intend to develop more services as they will have available manpower. This is a very laudable posture in a post-COVID society that expects more inclusivity and solidarity. The challenge is then to be able to value and sell those additional services instead of just giving them. Well, customers are already expecting more sense and proven brand values, and growing trends that COVID-19, this is globally a growing trend that COVID-19 is amplifying. The challenge for brands is to move from storytelling to story making. In fact, to provide the proof that the brand is really becoming authentic. Data and technologies will enable to reach a much better level in terms of personalization. Partnering with innovative players will also become more critical, but that will help brands entering into the new caring era, but that will not be enough. That's why working on posture is absolutely fundamental. Well, when well done, personalization is transparent and is reducing customer efforts and time. Being able to increase the perceived value when the customer has shared his data is a key challenge for marketers for the next 2 years. Well, in terms of customer experience measurement, NPS has become really a standard that is massively deployed across industries. One of the latest adoption we could see in Europe is the Carrefour Group, when they announced NPS to be a part of the official operational KPIs and part of the CEO variable income until 2022. However, from what I see and could experience, survey-based NPS has some limitation. Punctual evaluation coverage of a too small share of the customer base, and a frustrating actionability when you are hands-on. So I'm convinced that it has to evolve to meet return on investment expectations from customer experience initiatives. And well, there is a fantastic opportunity to build the bridge with the global data strategy and the data stakes I pointed out earlier, while talking about customer experience transformation journey. A data-driven augmented NPS could help having surgical diagnosis and action plan being plugged on business KPI and even established scores at individual customer level. Some startups, very interesting startups such as OCX Cognition, for example, have already begun to pave the way. So, as a conclusion, to make it short, well, definitively the objective is to raise engagement, thanks to relevant interactions, smart conversation with emotion, authentic customer collaboration, etc. At stake for the next 3 years, this is 2 to 4 points additional EBITDA. A good challenge.